Why do training montages resonate with us? Could it be the promise of the possibility of change? Is it the idea that if you give yourself to a process, then maybe you can become a different person? Maybe we're actually built for development. Or are we just suckers for a good-looking actor and a rousing soundtrack? When engaging with Jesus' message from the Mount, it's important to remember who his original hearers were, who was actually with him on the mountain as he spoke the words that transformed civilization. There was the crowd, the hangers-on, the people with nothing better to do that were there for the latest sideshow in town. But more importantly, and who Jesus was speaking to, were the disciples. It was his disciples listening as Jesus spoke the Sermon on the Mount. So what is a disciple? Well, the Greek word is mathetes. It means student or learner or follower. Jesus was a Jewish rabbi, and it was common practice for travelling Jewish teachers to call disciples to themselves. Usually young people in their late teens, and they would follow the rabbi around. The idea was to learn from the rabbi's teaching, yes, but this was more than just a student as we would normally think of the term. This was no, here's your head knowledge, revise for the test at the end of the year. This was a process whereby the disciple would follow the rabbi, they would listen to the teaching, they would develop the skills, they would go through the hardships, but even more than that, they would become like the rabbi himself. Jesus' plan, as we start to see even right at the beginning of his message from the Mount, is that it would be his disciples who would go on to change the world. Listen to the language that he uses for what we would probably call first century peasants. He says, you, disciples, are the salt of the earth. You are that which brings flavour. You are that which preserves the world, that stops it from going off. You, disciples, are the light of the world. You are that which reveals what is truly going on to those around you. And do you know what the amazing thing is that these first century farmers and fishermen, they did actually go on to change the world. They turned the Roman Empire upside down and inside out within 3 centuries. Jesus was right. And so we love a training montage. We love the idea that if we undergo a process, we can bring about transformation, which in turn will help us fulfill our purpose in the world. But what resonates even more than training montages is when art manages to capture the master-disciple relationship. When something goes beyond just student and teacher, and when a disciple follows the embodiment of an idea or an ideal. They hear the teaching, they go through the training process, they're tested by hardship, but then they become like the master, even at the level of character. That resonates even deeper, because that's what we were built for, that's what we were made for, that's why we're here, to become disciples who go on to be transformed, who then transform the world around us. So a really simple question to think about this week, or maybe it's not so simple. Whose disciple are you, and how's your discipleship going?